Hakadosh Boker Or Moadim LeSimcha Moed Tov Muvarach. I wanted to share with you an incredible idea on Hag HaPesach. We know the Tur brings down in the name of his brother that Pesach is Keneged Avraham Avinu, which means Pesach is parallel to Avraham Avinu. Every Chag has a different forefather, which they are parallel in correlation to that. So Pesach is Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak is Shavuot, and Yaakov Avinu is Sukkot. Right? It goes in that order: Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And there's many reasons for it as well. For example, Avraham Avinu, we call Pesach Chag HaEmunah for the Mimona, or Motzei Pesach. Yeah, Chag HaEmunah. Who was the one that had Emunah? It was Avraham Avinu. He believed in Hashem. He was the first of all the believers. Emunah. Also Chesed. Chag Pesach is called Chag of the Chesed. Why is it Chesed? Out of all the Chagim, the one that we do most Chesed on is Pesach. What's the introduction of the Agadah? Halachmanya. Whoever is hungry, right? Whoever is hungry, he should come and eat. Whoever has to come, they should all come together. What's the concept? You come and you give money for the poor people in order to have their matzot, in order to have their food. So what do you see from here? You see from here that this Chag is called Chag of Avraham Avinu, Chesed. So we wanted to speak a little bit about Avraham Avinu to understand what was the greatness of Avraham Avinu. What was the greatness? Avraham Avinu was obviously the pioneer of all of the Judaism, but what was his greatness? So listen to this. There's a Rambam. The Rambam says in Ilchot Avelut, he's talking about the entire concept of Achnasat Orchim. We know that Avraham Avinu excelled in Achnasat Orchim. He was the master of Achnasat Orchim, of inviting guests. And it says over there like this, Schara Leviyah Meruba Min Hakol. When we're talking about the reward of accompanying, which means that when you're going to come and do Leviyah, which is basically you're inviting, you're escorting people to their houses, that's called Schar Leviyah, it's greater than everything. And that is the chok, that is the statute that Avraham Avinu started in the Derech HaChesed that he did. And then it says, Ma'achil Ovrei Drachim, used to give people to eat and give people to drink, and then he used to accompany them. Achnasat Orchim was so great that it's even greater than receiving the Shekhinah, as we know that Avraham Avinu told the Shekhinah, wait here for a minute, I'm going to come back. And that's when he went, and he was getting the three angels in order to do Achnasat Orchim. And the Leviyah is even greater than Achnasatam, because anybody that does not come and do Leviyah, it's like he murdered. So now the question that we ask ourselves is, what's the order of Achnasat Orchim? The order is, you give them to eat and drink, and then you escort them. Why does the Rambam start the opposite? The Rambam starts that the mitzvah of Leviyah is the greatest of all the mitzvot. What does that mean? He says, Schara Leviyah is Meruba Min Hakol. It's greater than everything. Then it continues, he used to eat and give to eat and to drink to the people, and then he used to escort them. And then, what's going on? That's question number one. Question number two, Lot, he also did Achnasat Orchim. I would have said that the Achnasat Orchim of Lot was even greater than Avraham. Avraham never put his life in danger to do Achnasat Orchim. Lot was going to be killed. He didn't know they were angels. The proof that he tried to even send out his daughters, and then they wanted to kill him. And then finally the angel said, no, you stay in here. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of you. Yeah, like Ilu, I've got your back. You understand? So what's going on? So that's a second question. So first question, why is it that the Rambam brings down the Leviyah even before the real Achnasat Orchim, which is out of order? Number two, I would have said that Lot is the greatest in Achnasat Orchim. And then what was the difference between Avraham Avinu and Iyov? Do you know that Iyov also did a house with 4 entrances in order that the poor people would be able to come from all the different entrances? So what was the difference? So let's listen to an Avod Rabbi Natan. And I think this is where it's going to give you the secret to the key to understanding the greatness of Avraham Avinu. It says by Avod Rabbi Natan, Yehi vetecha patuach larevacha. Yeah, your house is going to be open completely. And there it says house. So it says that Eov had his house open in the 4 different directions. And people used to come by and they used to eat. Finally, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and he started bringing on Eov all the calamities and all the bad things, Eov told Hashem, he says, Ribono Shel Olam, I didn't give to eat and to drink to people that were hungry and thirsty. I didn't give clothing. I didn't give. So what's going on? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Eov, you didn't even get to half of Avraham Avinu. You are sitting and you're waiting for the guests to come, and the guests come into you. Whoever eats chitim, whoever eats wheat, eats wheat. Barley, barley. Meaning, I'll tell in our days. Whoever eats chicken would continue eating chicken. Whoever would eat a steak would eat steak. If they're going to eat tongue, tongue. Lamb chops, according to their level. That's what they ate. Avraham Avinu, he went out to bring the guests. And whoever used to eat chicken, he used to give them steak. Whoever used to eat steak, he used to give them tongue. Whoever used to tongue, he used to give lamb chops. He always went above and beyond. You didn't even get to half of that. What exactly was the difference between Avraham Avinu and Yov? We have to understand, right, the secret behind it. So the rabbis come and they say the following. They say, every single time, there's always usually going to be a giver and a taker. Meaning, if I'm going to give to someone something, I am coming and I'm the giver. I'm the noten. But then there's also the mekabel, the one that's receiving. Who's the receiver? The receiver feels very, very bad. He doesn't like to receive. He doesn't like to be on that side of the stick, that he's the one that's on the receiving end. So Avraham Avinu did something incredible. You know what he did? If right now he would do like Yov and just sit in his house, they come to his house, so then there's a balabait, and they have to bless the balabait, and they receive everything from the balabait. Avraham Avinu did something ingenious. Listen to what he did. He went out of his house to look for the guests. And when the guests were there, when he found guests, he would tell them, what's your name? Where you going? Do you know, I also need a place where to eat. I heard that down the block over there, there's a house, which is like a Chesed house, which they come and they give food. So then he would bring them to this house. Now, they used to come into the house, and it was a free-for-all. Free-for-all means it was a buffet. There was meat, there was chicken, so there was lamb chops, now, nobody was there to tell you what you usually eat or what you could take. It was completely free-for-all. So therefore, anyone that even if he used to only eat chicken, because that's what he could afford, all of a sudden he would take the meat. Obviously, you're not going to, that's a famous joke that they say, right? That they always put the salad and the sushi on the woman's side, right? Why? Because the women are the one that eat the salad, right? The men, salads. We want meat. The men want the meat. They don't want salads. You understand? The salads leave that on the woman's side, not the men's side. Here, what happened was Avraham Avinu brings them in and he tells them, Bechavod. He says, look, apparently this place is free. You could take whatever you want. So he comes, he starts serving himself. Now, this is incredible. Why? Because it doesn't make them feel bad. Because there's no balabait. But now there's one problem. You know what the problem is? The problem is when they leave, Avraham Avinu stays. So it was a good show until they have to leave. So what did Avraham Avinu do? Avraham Avinu also on the way out, he left with them as well. Ke'ilu, that he was in the balabait as well. We're all leaving at the same time. Who's the balabait? Oh, now, 1 second. Before they leave, they have to bless a balabait. So Avraham Avinu tells them, by the way, I heard that the one that's in is Hashem. It's God. God was the one that came, and he said, this is going to be a place where everything's always for free. All of a sudden, they're like, really? Wow. They come and they bless God. They bless Hashem. That was the greatness of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu did the Leviyah on the way to give them to eat and on the way out. On the way to give them to eat, he already escorted them to the house of Chesed, right? I think they call it like the soup house or soup kitchen, or I don't know what it's called. And then also on the way out. And why did he do that? He did that for a simple reason. You know why he did that? He did that because he didn't want them to feel bad. He wanted them to feel that there's no balabait. He wanted that, and this is such an incredible midah that it wasn't like by Lot. Because by Lot, they kept on saying that they were coming to his house. They're coming to his house. Everything was beto. Everything beto. His house. There's always a balabait. And the same thing with Yov. Avraham Avinu didn't want that. And therefore, Avraham Avinu, he wanted to hide who's the Balabait. Where did Avraham Avinu learn this? Avraham Avinu learned this from Hashem. Adon HaKol. Hashem is the master of the entire universe. He was the first one that he called him the master of the universe. What exactly, right, does that mean exactly? What does that mean, right? So he comes, the rabbis, they come and they say as follows. They say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he lets us work. And he comes, and when we work, we come, we work, and then we get parnasah, and then we make a livelihood. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing it also in a secret way. Instead of him just coming and putting the money in your hand, he lets us come and work, ilu that we are the balabatim, that we're working for our money. But really, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one that's giving us the money. So Avraham Avinu learned from HaKadosh Baruch Hu how to do this. Because when he learned to recognize Hashem, he said, 1 second, why is it that Hashem just doesn't give us the money directly? Why does he do it in such a round way in order that we're not embarrassed to get the money? So therefore, Avraham Avinu says, I'm going to do the same thing with the children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to do the same thing with everybody, right, that is around. And this, in essence, was the greatness of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu made it feel as if that it wasn't like, you didn't actually even, that's why he had to invent the mitzvah of Leviyah. He invented it. And that's why the Rambam first said Leviyah at the beginning. And then he mentioned Leviyah at the end. Because from the beginning already there was accompanying. Because Avraham Avinu wanted to show Kilu what? I'm also a guest. I'm not the Balabait here. And when he left, he also accompanied them. Why? He's also a guest. He wasn't the Balabait. There's no Balabait here. Do you know what actually once happened? An incredible story, right? An incredible story that happened in England. There was a Balabait that he was a Bal Chesed, a very, very big Bal Chesed, that for years and years and years, the Meshulachim used to come to his house, right? And they used to have free board, free room and board, eating, drinking, sleeping, everything. Mamash like that. His children, they said that they used to sleep in the kitchen on mattresses. But they always said that they never lacked anything in their entire lives. That was the way that the children, they always felt, right, that the greatness in it, that this is what their father's house was. But something incredible, there was once a Meshulach there for 6 weeks, and he was sitting beside someone there, and he says, this place is incredible. I said, yeah, but no, not such a big deal. Like, okay, fine. He says, no, but, look, they get free room and board, free this, free that. Everything was such a chesed. He says, but you know what? I've already been here for 6 weeks. I feel that already. I don't know until when I could be here. So the guy comes and he tells him, what? I've been here for 22 years. Nobody ever told me anything. So the guy said, what? Really, Behemet? He says, yeah. He says, what? You could be here as long as you want. He says, oh, wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Right. He says, oh, thank you to me. I don't know, whoever this, he goes, imagine who this Balabait is. He says, it's true. I have no idea. He was speaking to the Balabait. He didn't even realize. He didn't even know. He didn't even know who the owner of the house was. He's there for 6 weeks, free room and board, eating, drinking, sleeping, and he doesn't even know who the Balabait is. That's the greatness of a true chesed, Bal Chesed. So I said this over on Pesach morning here in the Bet Knesset, and basically I said it was about a Kohen, whatever. I said thank you to a Kohen that he went out in order to give other people to get aliyot. And what happened was all of a sudden, he comes to me and he says, thank you so much. He says, I'm going to tell you a story that happened in Muncie. He's an Ashkenazi and his father-in-law also Ashkenazi. He said his father-in-law had a mikveh in his house for men. He says many, many years ago, there was no mikvot, right? And nowadays, every shul, every day, especially in places like that, there's big properties. So everyone has mikvot. They have it. On the olden days, it was not. So everybody used to come to his house to use his mikveh. Everybody. So he told me it once happened that he comes downstairs, right? He goes, from another exit, whatever. He goes inside, and all of a sudden a person comes and he tells him, sorry, I apologize. He says, right, I have special permission from the Balabait that I could use the mikveh by myself. So if you can, please wait outside, and when I finish, then come back inside. So the person comes and he tells him, listen, if you have such a connection with the Balabait, okay, fine, okay, so I'm going to wait outside. He goes outside, he waits until he finishes, and then he comes inside and he uses his own mikveh. He was a Balabait. This is a Balabait that's coming to his own mikveh in his own house, and a stranger tells him, By the way, I have a special permission from the balabait, from the owner of the house, that I can use the mikveh by myself. So please step outside. The guy could have said, listen, chutzpah, who do you think you are? Karadura, you could have told him a million of things. You understand? Kilu, yeah, you're right. No, if you have this connection with the balabait, yeah, so I'm going to go outside. I'll wait. Don't worry about it. And that's a true chesed. That's the chesed that a person wants. Now, with this, we understand what happened with Noach and the Yonah. Listen to this. Noach, right, had an entire year of a school. What was a year of school? It was a year of doing chesed. Every single day in, day out. He hardly was able to sleep. He had to do chesed. Morning, day, afternoon, nighttime. Chesed with the animals, giving them to eat. One time he was late. And what happened? The lion bit him. Yeah, the lion came and he bit him. Okay. There was another time that Noach got a slap in the face, which was much worse than the lion biting him. You know what it was? It was that Noach comes and how do you call this? And he sends out the raven. The raven, we know we can't trust the raven. Okay. He sends out the Yonah. The Yonah comes back with a zait befiv, with an ale zait, with an olive, right? With olive tree, like a branch of an olive tree, right? So why is that? The Yonah went and he told the Kadosh Baruch Hu, I prefer having my parnassah from you, even if it's going to be bitter like olives, than having a parnassah from a human being, from having it from Noah. That was the biggest slap in the face. Here, Noach is working 24/7 for 365 days a year, giving to eat to these animals, and the animal comes and slaps it. I prefer having it bitter in your hands, Hashem, right? Bitter in your hands than having it in the hands of this guy called Noach. You would say, imagine, I come and I'm eating from your table for an entire year, and afterwards I come and I say, no, I would have never preferred your table. I just prefer from Hashem. What's going on? The answer is at the end of the day, also by the Yonah felt that he's a reciprocant. He's a recipient. He's receiving. He's on the receiving end. He doesn't want. He prefers to feel that he's not a person that's mikabel. He is not like that. Noach, everyone knew when he was giving, he was the giver and he's the taker. They didn't want to feel that. So the Yonah went and told Noach, I prefer getting it from you, Hashem. Even if it's going to be bitter, even if it's going to be much smaller amount, even if it's going to be whatever you want. But I don't want it from the hands of a human being. I don't want it from somebody else. And I'm going to feel that I'm the receiving end. And that's, I think, an incredible yesod. The yesod is that we don't want that people should feel bad, right, about what's going on. Do you know once happened, there was a story with a big rabbi that what happened is that he was a Talmid Chacham. And there was another person that was a Anani, very, very poor person, that he was living in the building. And every single time they used to come and ask for things. Now, obviously, a lot of times they asked for things not because the makolet was closed or the supermarket was closed. It was pashut. They were very poor, so they didn't have. So all the time they would come and they would ask for sugar, for eggs, for this, for that, for whatever it was, for bread, for flour, for anything. They would ask. So one day, the husband comes home and he tells his wife, go ask for the neighbor to borrow, if you can, some tomatoes. So she says, what? So yeah, go ask for that. She goes, I don't need tomatoes. She says, I know you don't need tomatoes, but ask her to borrow. She says, whoever says she's going to have tomatoes to even lend me. What? She didn't understand what the husband wanted. Like, what's going on? Says, no, he says, I just saw that the neighbor, she was coming up with a big bag of tomatoes. So I know that she has tomatoes. So go ask her for one tomato. He says, why? This is very, very simple. She always feels bad that she's always asking for you things. And she always feels that she's on the receiving end. If you now ask her for something, she's going to feel that now she's equal to you. Even though she only gave you one tomato and she got from you flour and eggs and this and everything, and it's a lot of times, but it doesn't matter. It makes her feel equal. So go ask to borrow it. So you make her feel at par. And now the next time that she needs something from you, she's not going to feel so bad if she's going to ask it from you. Because she already feels, listen, we reciprocate. It's one by one. You understand? One and one. That's the way it is. even though it's not really like that, but that's how it makes her feel. That was the wisdom, right, of this rabbi. And that's what happened also by Sarah and Avraham Avinu. Do you know that they say that that usually, right, that Avraham Avinu, he was so nice to the guests. Why? He went and he told the guests, I'm going to give you kemach. Sarah goes and she gives them solet. Solet is fine flour, not regular flour, coarse flour, but rather fine flour. What was the difference? If you come and you tell the guest, I'm going to prepare you a 5-star meal, it's going to make them feel bad. So therefore, Avraham Avinu just said, no, I'm going to give you regular bread. I'm going to give you... So then the guests, they don't feel that bad. So, okay, fine, no problem. Sarah Imenu went and she got him the best of the best. La creme de la creme. After already they agree, now you could actually come and you could do that. And this actually once happened with Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, which was a very big rabbi, right? What happened is that there was a few guests that came on the night of Kal Chamirah, and they told them that they were there and they came to visit. Now, obviously, it's not a time to visit, but he accepted them very nicely. And then they told him that they wanted to be with him and they wanted to pay him. Now, they thought for sure the rabbi was going to say no. He agreed that they should come to him for Pesach, and he agreed to the money. The guests, they took out a big, large sum of money. They were from Chutz La'aretz, so they took a big, the big dollar bills, the wads of the dollar bills. Boom, not of singles. Yeah, we're talking about big money. Boom, he gave it to them. He accepted it. They were a little bit shocked themselves, but obviously they wanted to give it to him, so they gave it to him. Okay, and then they had an incredible seder. On Yom Tov Sheni, remember that in Israel, it's not Yom Tov Sheni. So for him, it's Chol HaMoed. But for them, it's Yom Tov Sheni. So on Yom Tov Sheni, who comes to visit them in the hotel? The Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. So he comes to the room, he tells them, how are you? This, that, speaking to them. And all of a sudden, he pulls out a big wad of money and he puts it down. He says, Chag Sameach. And he's going to start walking out. They say, hey, well, what's going on over here? He said, what's your problem? He says, so mi kara my savat. What did we knew that the rabbi wasn't going to accept the money. So why did you accept the money and then pull a fast one on us that you're giving it back to us on Chag, so that way we can't give it back to you? He knew that you're putting it down in front of us and now we can't even touch it. And now we can't even do anything. Why did you do that then? So he went and he said like this. He said very simple. He says, when you came to my house and you wanted to stay, I know that you guys are going to feel not comfortable because I'm going to have all the different things on the table and everything. You didn't even pay a penny and you're coming and you're freeloaders and you don't feel good. So I wanted you guys to feel like the best. So you guys paid for all the food. You paid for everything. You guys are going to eat and drink. And why? You guys paid big bucks. You're not cheapskates. You guys paid for everything. I wanted you to feel that you're going to enjoy your Chag. But now that the Chag is already over, or at least for the night of the Seder is already over for us, so now here's your money back. Now I want you to enjoy yourselves. That was the greatness of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. And that's the concept of Ma'ot Chitim. Ma'ot Chitim was they used to give money to buy wheat. Why money to buy wheat? Why don't you just give the poor people the matzah? Why Ma'ot Chitim, money for wheat? Or Kimcha de Pischa, Kemach of the Pesach. Why? Why don't you just give them the matzah? The answer is if you give them the matzah, these poor people, every time they see the matzah, they remember you, that you gave them the money. So they feel bad. But if you give them money for wheat and then you buy the wheat and they have to work for it in order to make the matzah, they feel good about it. And therefore, since they feel good about it, so therefore they feel, you know what? It's fine. There's no problem whatsoever. And that's, I think, was the secret behind their entire concept. Here it was, you wanted to make people feel good. That's the Chesed of Avraham Avinu. Pesach is to make people feel the best. And that's what the Chesed of Avraham Avinu. Then Chesed Avraham, right? That's the entire concept of the Chag of Pesach.